Greetings and welcome to another edition of Black Talk Radio, where black media matters and black life definitely matters. Today is Sunday, August 26, 2018. Family, this video is where a prosecutor is pursuing murder charges for a woman who defended herself from domestic violence. She defended herself from her abuser, and in a state where they have stand your ground laws, she is being denied that law. Jacqueline Dixon is her name. She shot her husband to death in Alabama, stand your ground state, after she said he charged at her. He had a history of domestic violence. We're going to discuss this issue because in 2018, we, first of all, should not be attacking women, but especially black women. As a black man, if you have a black grandmother, a black mother, black aunts, black sisters, black nieces, and possibly black daughters, you, more than anyone, should know better. But this story is about Jacqueline Dixon, so let's get to the story. Family, at approximately 8:30 a.m. on July 31st, police officers in Selma, Alabama, were dispatched to a residence at 2113 Church Street, where they found Carl Omar Dixon, 44 years old, lying unresponsive in the front yard. His wife, Jacqueline Dixon, 38, was taken into the custody at the scene. The police said she shot her husband with a small caliber handgun. They also said Dixon told them that she was defending herself after her husband had charged at her aggressively. Dixon was then taken into custody and charged with murder. Her bond set at $100,000. The case is pending grand jury review by Dallas County District Attorney Michael Jackson. Selma is the county seat. So, let's get this straight, family. We've seen a number of cases, but even here recently, where a white man got away initially with shooting and killing a black man over a handicapped parking space that didn't even belong to him. He had no business whatsoever shooting this black man. Oh, it was because he was pushed down to the ground. Nothing else. Just simply pushed down to the ground. This white man took the life of a black man, and initially the sheriff or the sergeant decided not to even press charges. He didn't even take him down to the police station. That's how cold-blooded that situation was. Thank God the authorities, the real law enforcement, have stepped in, and that criminal thug who shot and killed that black man, he has since been arrested. Thank God. Nonetheless, Jacqueline Dixon here, pictured here, is still pending a grand jury review, and her bond was set at $100,000, and she was taken into custody and charged with murder. This case is just one of, I'm sure, hundreds of thousands of cases like hers. There is other cases of domestic violence where black women especially are involved in those cases, and they get treated in this same fashion, especially when they themselves are just trying to defend themselves. So there has to be a national discourse, a national discussion on this issue. There has to be. But I digress. I'm going to go back to this story. Dixon's murder charge came despite the fact that she had requested an order of protection against her husband in 2016 for punching her in the face and verbally abusing her multiple times. And Dixon's insistence that she acted in self-defense. In addition, Alabama's Stand Your Ground statute says that an individual, quote, is justified in using physical force upon another person in order to defend himself or herself from what he or she reasonably believes to be the use or imminent use of unlawful physical force by that other person. Unquote. So in other words, Jacqueline Dixon should not be sitting in jail, and she should not be awaiting this grand jury review, and she should not have been charged with murder in the first place. And this is the crux of this argument here, is that black women are not treated fairly by the law. I'll repeat that again. Black women are not being treated fairly by the law. White women in particular seem to get the easiest route when it comes to calling the police or filing some type of report against another person and then be believed. Who am I thinking of? Oh, I'm thinking about that crusty butt white woman who claimed that Emmett Till whistled at her. You remember that white woman who now we've come to find out that she was lying. But anyways, people like that are so disgusting when I think about her though. But Jacqueline Dixon here, she's not being treated fairly by the law. And then we'll go right into black men. So therefore, black women and black men are not being treated fairly by the law. We are not being treated fairly by the court systems. The judges are sentencing us to the longest jail sentences, and they knowingly are doing it because they are racist. There is no other rhyme or reason, or you can't give me any other intellectual, smart, intelligent reason why these white men dressed up in robes in these courtrooms designed to administer law, which is a total failure when it comes to black people, why they feel the need to give us longer sentences. It's clear and obvious the people who are committing a lot of crimes on the streets, and they are getting a slap on the wrist. But back to Jacqueline Dixon. But police and prosecutors, it says, rarely grant a stand your ground and other justifiable homicide defenses to women, particularly black women like Dixon, when they are defending themselves from abusers. Now see, that right there is a major problem, that they would even point out the fact that in particular black women, when they're defending themselves against abusers. So in other words, what they are saying without saying the words is, we don't care if you're getting abused, black woman. We simply don't care. That's what they are essentially saying, when the law should be protecting you too. I have a black grandmother, I have a black mother, I have black aunts, I have sisters. Yes, I have cousins who are black women, so I care. Don't ask me why am I doing this video. This is important. Domestic violence in the black community is a problem. It says so right here. It's showing this. It says in New Orleans, Katina Curley shot and killed her husband in 2005 after enduring physical abuse for over a decade. Orleans Parish District Attorney Leon Cannizzaro nonetheless charged Curley with second-degree murder. She was convicted at trial and sentenced to life in prison. And these are white jurors doing that. So you get another set of racists who then again are then committing black people to prisons, jails and prisons for long periods of time. Well, it says in that case that the Louisiana Supreme Court recently granted her, Curley, that is, a new trial. But more famously, in 2012, Marissa Alexander of Jacksonville, Florida, and you all know who she was, or who she is rather, was convicted of aggravated assault and sentenced to 20 years in prison for merely firing a warning shot at her abusive husband. Alexander was freed in 2017 after advocates campaigned for her release. An energetic grassroots campaign led to the defeat of the prosecutor on her case, Angela Corey. This crusty woman right here, if you don't know her, I'm sure you've seen her before, who unsuccessfully prosecuted George Zimmerman, who invoked Stand Your Ground after killing Trayvon Martin in 2012. Now groups like Survived and Punished are rallying around criminalized survivors with this demand: free them all. Family, the urgency of the growing national movement to support criminalized survivors stems in large part from the fact that nearly half of female homicide victims were related to intimate partner violence, according to a Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) study released last year. Selma Police Chief Spencer Collier has said, quote, "Domestic violence is a crime that knows no racial, geographic, or socioeconomic boundary," unquote. Well, of course we know that because, well, Ike Turner beat the crap out of Tina Turner, and they were making a lot of money back in the day. It just doesn't know any kind of boundaries whatsoever. An abuser is an abuser, and if you are the recipient on the recipient end of it, and you're not smart enough to get out, this story is for you. It says, but black women are disproportionately represented among homicide victims in this category. I want to say that one more time. But black women are disproportionately represented among homicide victims in this category. Groups like Survived and Punished also point out that while there are seemingly limitless resources to prosecute and jail survivors, there are few when it comes to social services that might help them out. Indeed, when Baton Rouge experienced a spike in domestic violence-related homicides in 2017, one advocate who runs a 24-hour women's shelter laminated, quote, "If we had more beds or we had a larger unit where we could find that service to people, I know that it could save lives." So in other words, they're saying that they simply don't have the resources that's really needed. But yet you have people starting GoFundMe accounts for people like Kylie Jenner so that she could reach $1 billion in revenue. I mean, some people, we just don't have our priorities right, but yet we say things like we're trying to make America great. Yeah, right. But I digress. Well, family, Dixon's attorney, Richard Rice, insisted to the appeal. By the way, where this article came from, the appeal by William C. Anderson, said that, quote, at the time of the shooting, she did feel like her life was in danger. In that type of situation, she should have a right to defend herself and defend her family, unquote. And this is true. Rice says that Alabama's Stand Your Ground statute could be invoked in Dixon's case, but he cautioned that state law requires an evidentiary hearing that he describes as a trial in miniature, and communities of color, Rice notes, are not often afforded self-defense protections. See, there goes another fault in the system where it's unequal. And they always say that our system is equal, but it's not. But they say it is, but it just isn't. But they say it is. They're just lying. It says, Rice says that as he and his client await a grand jury's decision, their primary concerns are finding stable housing for her children, as well as counseling for the family to treat the severe trauma they experienced last month. Now you see, they always say, well, where's the mother at? Or where's the daddy at? They always say that. White people, especially these white racist trolls, they always say that kind of stuff. Well, where's the mother at? Where's the daddy at? Well, you put them in jail. You put them in jail for defending themselves, for doing what you guys normally do, but we just don't have that privilege that you guys have. You know, that white privilege that you keep denying, that you say you don't have. We don't have it. You do. Overall, family, prosecutors have near total and unreviewable discretion, and Davis says that in this case, in which the defendant is a domestic violence survivor, Jackson has the discretion to pursue something less than a murder charge, or even to forego charges altogether. So in other words, being that she's a black woman, and if they're white racists and they want to carry out their racist agenda like they usually do, well, they can stick it to you with a lesser charge just to get you with something. Because after all, you're a black woman, and that's what they do to us black people. Because it's a just us system. It doesn't have nothing to do with justice, just us, as in just us black folk. So, as she awaits the grand jury's decision on her case, Dixon told the appeal that my primary concern is my children. I hope that the justice system will work as it is supposed to here. I need to be with my children because I am all that they have. That is the truth, Jacqueline Dixon. I feel so bad and very, very sorry for your situation, and I hope justice prevails and you are set free and no charges are filed against you. This is Guru at Black Talk Radio, where black media matters and black women matter to black people.